Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of Vampire the Masquerade Beyond Armageddon. Before we begin, I'd like to make a few announcements. First, we are proud to announce that Sabbat the Schism is officially out now. Not only does it delve into the history and lore of the sect, it opens up multiple role-playing options for fans of the game, including new playable clans, elder level powers, and much more. You can find your own copy of Sabbat the Schism in the link below. Second, I'd like to thank RS Experiments, our local musical talent, for graciously providing the custom music you've been enjoying so far, including our awesome main theme song called Haven Dweller. If you enjoy any of the music used during the stream, and you'd like to hear more, you can find a full library of Mark's work by clicking the link below to RS Experiments' SoundCloud page. Lastly, if you enjoyed tonight's session and you'd like to see more, be sure to follow both our channels. You can catch us live most Sundays at 7 p.m. CET by tuning in to youtube.com/@EriseGames or at twitch.tv/EriseGames. Alternatively, you can enjoy all our recorded sessions on YouTube. Links below. Remember to like, subscribe, and be sure to leave us feedback and suggestions in the comments below. We hope you enjoy the session. And without further ado, let us delve into the world of darkness in tonight's episode of Vampire the Masquerade Beyond Armageddon. As the week progresses, Jack finds himself preparing for the experiments of the Blood Moon in his makeshift lab. As he does so, Serena is bidding formerly Cecil, now Olivia, farewell as the former Ductus leaves to work on
Wait, before that happens, I'm like, so I've been thinking it would be time to make a formal introduction as a pack member,
Hmm, I
but
suppose I
also,
could.
but also, mm, you're not going to be from Camarilla. You're going to be an anarch, defector, because do you remember the type of creation rights you assigned to me?
Yes.
Do you agree with me that you don't really have time to make such a bold mission for me that nobody could doubt? Like, I don't know, bringing me Teresa's head or something. You don't have time for that right now.
A fair point. Anarch it is then. When is the
Anna?
introduction being made?
Um, well, Mm, can go later tonight if you're free, or tomorrow.
Later tonight, then.
All right then. Um, I'll how what time is best?
As soon as I'm done building the altar, the end
All right.
approaches.
Okay. Speaking of which, I need to start building my own altar. Okay. Love you. And Serena kisses Olivia on the cheek and uh, skitters off.
Yeah, the
Well,
gigantic redhead woman half monster skitters off from the short lady. Yes. Um, and as Serena moves away, Olivia turns, sort of rubbing her cheek, and just walks out.
rubbing her cheek. Excuse me.
Well, touching her cheek, not
Okay,
wiping.
Not like wiping, yeah. Like more like
I
that.
see. It's like, okay, I'm taking this with me. Is that the vibe?
Yes. Um, and as the front door closes, Serena, you hear sounds from upstairs. You know that Larry's out on business, and obviously Jasper was sent away for training. Abel does not spend most nights in this haven, so must be Jack.
Probably researching. I'm going to pick up a book that I've ordered for like pagan practices and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my god, Ray, no, I'm busy.
Dogs.
This broadstream has been taken over by Malkavian network. Yeah.
So upset. Anyway, so yeah, she's going to sit down in the lounge and read a book.
Okay. And as you flip through the pages, Jack,
Mm.
during your preparations, what specific experiments would you like to run?
I never really tried what UV or electricity can do to my blood. Might as well.
All right. You take one of your beakers. You open your wrist, pouring some vitae into it, and prepare for the experiment. And as you're about to flip on the switch, with the wires running through the vitae, you feel a vibration in your pocket. You take your phone out, and it seems Taffington is trying to contact you.
Is he calling or is he sending a message?
It's calling.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up, like, holding it basically like that, and walk downstairs. Because I probably heard like Serena's still there, so she might as well eavesdrop.
Yep. And as you click the call on, immediately Taffington's voice rings out from the other end. Am I correct in assuming you felt it too?
Yes.
Is it what I suspect?
Might be, actually, yeah.
Yeah, we should not jump to conclusions. Perhaps it wasn't something as perhaps it wasn't something so insidious. I should try and move a few pieces on the board around my area. if you understand.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, there are things you might be able to achieve from your end.
Actually, yes, you're right. Serena is eavesdropping. Serena comes up and is um, like raises the finger, like sort of like, can you ask him to wait for a second?
Can you hold on for a moment?
I'll call
One
in a
of my
bit,
yes.
and the phone clicks.
Listen,
Mm.
so originally, like when we were planning, to work with either of them, so we really didn't tell Taffington about, Therese and whatsoever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not really bothered by it anymore. So,
So you want to just tell him?
well, we're planning to start on dethroning her. So,
Move the pieces on my end.
so here's the thing: it would be good if he started, like getting his info. Also, by the way,
I'm perfectly fine ratting out a member of some other clan.
I think we should do that.
Then who am I to question your experience?
It's a hunch.
You're a Malkavian. Might as well be experience.
Maybe. But
Yeah.
let me just draw a card.
Yeah, sure. Be my guest.
So I'm gonna draw a card. Oh, so I need to log in. No, I don't want to create a new account.
While she tries to find the deck of cards, do I feel the presence I felt a few days ago? I can't hear you.
Apologies. So it hasn't really gone away ever. It's lessened significantly, but it's never really gone away.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to greet it again, I guess.
So as you open your mind to it and attempt to greet it, you begin to feel watched. And it's not like the room gets darker or anything, but it's almost like every corner of the room that's slightly darker than the center, every area under the furniture, the night sky just outside your window. It's almost like all of it is just staring straight at you.
Well, it wouldn't be bad if we might actually meet and discuss what I can offer to your cause, I guess. After all, we thought you dead for 600 years.
The presence remains unchanging.
Funny that Jack is doing that because I was planning sort of like, to
He promised to flip off if his antediluvian and come back alive, but then he went on a path and what's the reason to worry anymore?
This was planning to do the same as Malcolm earlier.
So while While you ponder what to do next, Serena finds her deck of cards, shuffles it, pondering her questions, cuts it, and pulls the first card. And the first question is...
Will selling Taffington about Erise and net benefit us?
As you draw the card, you are greeted with the image of a lonely figure holding a lantern as it approaches a cliff that falls into the ocean. The night sky, cloudy, shining behind him. You draw the hermit. Right. The second question?
What will be the immediate consequence? So, like 1 week or something?
You draw you pull a card and you see the figure of a stormy sky, waves crashing in the background of the image, surrounding a rather imposing tower with a glaring eye on top of it. You draw the tower.
Okay. And what will be a long-term consequence? For draws the world.
Literally.
As you pull the last card, what will the ultimate, fate of this decision? Right? What's the result in the long run? You draw it, and you are faced with the image of a very ornate, doorway opening on a wall, sort of like an archway on a wall. A number of hands pushing through the dirt from the ground, a number of foliage surrounding it, and in the center, a large skeleton holding a scythe and an hourglass floating above its head. You draw death.
Okay, tell him.
Sure. I'll call Taffington back.
And while he's calling Taffington back, I'm going to go sit back on the sofa with a book and then just like think about it and be like, and I'm going to use Eyes of Chaos to talk to Big Irish.
Okay. Well,
Because last time, every time he showed up or like whatever, like either it triggers Eyes of Chaos or and yes.
So one thing at a time. You may roll for Eyes of Chaos. Meanwhile, Jack, you take the phone, make the call. It rings for 1, maybe 2 tones, and then it clicks. There's silence on the other end.
Well, I pondered an idea for a moment. Are you in a space where nobody can hear you?
The voice of a woman rings from the other end. Who's this?
I give her like the fake name he gave me because
that's fine.
I forgot it.
That's fine. I see. I'm afraid Mr. Taffington is otherwise engaged.
Hmm. Can you inform him that I called and that tell him that his favorite twin actress are actually just one actress
No!
doing the good role.
No.
Hmm.
Oh my god.
I need to roll something.
Jack.
Hmm.
You dumbass. What if she's a vampire?
The voice goes silent for a moment and then says, I'll be sure to pass on the message.
Thank you.
And there's a click.
Tony, if you just fuck this shit up, I will murder you. Well,
So-
rather, I will actually murder Jack. By the way, I got 8 successes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 4 10s, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh,
So are you asking a question specifically?
No, I'm not asking.
Or
I'm
just
basically
reaching
like
out and
reaching out.
casting Eyes of Chaos just to see what the
Yes.
fuck happens?
Yes. Fuck around and find out.
Find out you will. Okay. I need to roll something. Okay. Okay. All right. So you close your eyes, attempting to reach out.
The big Irish.
You
The moon in the sky.
slowly feel yourself drifting off. The world around you dissipates. At a steady pace, you go from the living room to an unending void. As you look around you, you see nothing. And then all of a sudden,
Okay.
you almost instinctually reach forward. And while you see nothing, you feel a surface.
A surface.
Mm-hmm. If you expected playing a Malkavian would be straightforward.
Wait, just a second. Okay, so a surface.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna sigh and then like, I've heard that one of them must say that we got cursed because you sassed Cain. I don't know if that's true or not. But if that were true, I suppose a little bit of sass is very inherent to you too.
As you speak, sort of moving your
So-
hand.
So,
Oh, hold
and
on.
Iris
hold on.
is just like, wait, Iris is like, so I do have a question. Grandpa? Great grandpa? What should I call you? Is it a big M? A big Iris?
Well, as you run your fingers across this cold surface, you realize it's a surface made of glass. Maybe a cold metal. And then you begin to see some light illuminating you specifically. You can't tell what the light source is, but as you begin to see your hand, you see the reflection of your hand and then your own reflection on this surface. It looks exactly like you, does everything you do. And then there is one violent cracking sound, and as a very large crack in this mirror juts almost infinitely from that direction to that direction, and causes these splinters to fly out and leave small cuts on your cheek. You look back to the mirror to see not Serena, but a young, dark-haired woman with round glasses in a very old-fashioned gown that seems rather familiar to you, drenched in blood. And she looks to you with a terrified look. You see yourself from the when you were embraced.
I had gray eyes.
From the night you were embraced.
I had gray eyes.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, gray.
That's fine.
Well, I'm pretty sure this is not the case of he who controls the present controls the past, and he who controls. Although it might be. Hmm. But hello.
We'll call her Iris. Iris looks to you, sort of exploring your features, and then just slowly lifts her hand.
Current Iris does the same. And then here's the thing. So Iris is not scared, like Serena is not wearing shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
She actually, Serena unwraps her tail and reaches out, and she just she's like, she doesn't know if it's an illusion, or like who knows what Wolf can do. It could be like, I don't know, some weird like glance back into that time, and she's just interested. Like, how would that version of her react to a metamorphosis? She's just like really interested.
As you unfurl your tail, you see Iris looking at your tail with some curiosity and looking to you. Then looking to each side. And she seems to say something, but you can't hear her.
Can you hear me? And Iris does, like Serena does a sound with, with her finger.
Mm-hmm. Iris simply says, or simply does.
Oh, wait, sorry, I wasn't on the video.
And she simply gestures to her ear.
Is there a mirror between us, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a mirror. Serena's going to bite her finger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to let, like her split jaws maybe like split a bit, but still have like that smile on her face, and then she's going to like write with the blood in mirror, using, so like
Backwards.
from so that
Like
to her,
mirrored.
mirrored, like she's gonna write mirrored. So from right to left, if it's mirrored letters, she's going to. Am I scared? Do you fear me? Do you think me scary?
She looks to you after reading and just says,
And
and as
Sarita,
as she shakes her head, another crack on the mirror appears quite violently, and a shard of the mirror falls into the infinite. You'd say about a fifth of it.
is there now like a hole between us?
As the shard fell, whenever you look through that opening, you don't see Iris.
Well, I'm gonna do this first yet, and then Iris is like, then Iris writes, good. Like she wipes the previous text and then like, good. You shouldn't. And then after like the past Iris reads it up, she
Mhm.
wipes it again and then says, I'll meet you in the future.
Iris, without opening her finger, simply touches the reflection of the blood, and the letters begin to reshape themselves, almost like the blood gets re-smudged in different directions. And the words, "You still have 4 questions," show up.
Oh, okay. There's and present Iris is like, yeah, okay, like I should have known it was Malkas. Like here, present Iris is like, oh, is this like temporal thing? Is this like something temporal? Oh, cool. And then like she looks a bit, like like amused, embarrassed, like, do you? And she writes with the blood. Hello, Malkov. No, hello, Big M. um, do you plan on eating your clan?
Um, the image of Iris simply does this. And there's another violent breaking of the mirror, and another chunk falls. You kind of have to step sideways to avoid it. And off into the void it goes.
Well, Irish waits.
Iris is just there, watching you.
That's the way to confuse people.
Fine, Irish waits. Right. Is this past me, or is this big me? Big M.
The reflection looks to you and smiles.
Well, fuck you too.
And another breaking happens, and another shard falls into the void.
Right, so that was 1, 2, 3. I have 2 more questions. And okay, then I just like, and then I just like looks and like, okay. Did um did you plan on founding the sword? Like, okay, are you one of the sword's founders, architects? And it's the main plan of the sword. That's more of a yes than a no. But I have.
And
But
as Iris does this, another crack happens, and most of the mirror falls off. And all you have is
Okay.
this small shard floating in the air, where you can barely just see Iris's eye.
Uh,
That's not much. That's not a lot of surface to write on.
yeah, but I think I can just ask the question.
Yeah.
So I'll just like walk closer to the mirror so that I can look into it because that's like because then I should be because that iris moves independently of me. I should be able to like use it like as a pinhole. Like, uh, I don't think I have any more questions for now. But like, I guess word of advice from the wise to stop us all. A word. Are you pointing towards the Sabbat behind you?
And as you're peeking through the pinhole, Iris begins to step forward, and with sort of a poking motion, the fragment flies away and falls into the void. And as soon as you're basically looking like this through the pinhole, right? As soon as that shard of glass falls, before you stands essentially a nearly unrecognizable entity with a face that shifts between all the people you've ever seen. You see Timothy's face, you see Cecil's, you see Victoria's, some of her pack mates even. And as this
Iris looks in
figure...
wonder. Iris looks in wonder. You know Iris's reaction to this kind of stuff.
Okay. And as this figure raises its hand, it touches your eye and then proceeds to push its finger into your skull. And then puts another finger and begins to crawl inside your skull through your eye socket. And then, through the agony, you jolt up and realize you're in the living room of the Haven. And I need you to roll me willpower.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Oh, okay. 4 minus 4. So that's 0. It's a fail, so...
What happened?
Hold on. We have Geru. Throwing
We do. Well, because one Garrow just fucking freaked himself because he pushed over like a stand for flowers and he fucking spooked, and Ray came in to check what happened here and why was he spooked.
Doggo Mama checking on Malkav.
Yes.
Yes. For context, one of our dogs is called Malkav. You forget that, like, you know, these the watchers don't necessarily know.
Oh, shut up, Arikel.
Okay. So, as you return, you feel that something around you has changed. You look around, and even looking out the window, you feel like there's something ominous out there, out to get you. You look at Jack, who at this point is just putting down the phone. And you realize you didn't hear the end of that call. Is he conspiring against you? What's he planning now? You never really questioned his loyalty due to the vinculum, but there are ways to break the vinculum. And for the next week, you may add to your sheet paranoia as a derangement.
You gotta pay for talking to Malkus.
You do.
So yes, Jack, as you turn off the call, you just see Serena sort of dozing off. You know, like someone who hasn't slept for 3 days because she's writing a book, sort of dozes off for a bit, and then like wakes up and looks around in a bit of a frantic mood, and then looks to you in a bit of a shifty manner.
I just talked to Malkus.
That's beautiful.
Crawled inside
Are-
my head through the eye.
That's intrusive, but you
Hey,
like it?
excuse me.
Not the walking through the eye or crawling, the chat.
I mean, at first, he appeared as past me just after the embrace.
Hmm.
And I really, for a moment, I thought that it was, some temporal, something.
Last time I checked, you're Malkavian, not some time witch, but proceed.
Anyway, yeah, but you never know with antediluvians, do you?
True.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, what did I ask? So, I asked, well, to my question, whether he played a part in architecting the sword, and so on. I got, like, you know. And Iris starts giggling.
Well, we know somebody who for sure did that. Didn't we, Lugos?
That guy's dead.
Yes. He diablerized the eldest.
Yeah, did.
Yes. So I was talking to him for you.
Oh, are you now deciding to talk to the eldest by talking to me? Because
You have vicissitude, I guess.
Iris just looks at you just like, I am not a walkie-talkie.
I don't think that I qualify to get with my own. But excuse me for that. If you want to tell something to my antediluvian, I guess.
Oh, wait, Iris looks around. Is La Sombra in the room with us right now? Is the big shadow in the room with us right now?
I guess. I can feel some presence. Doesn't really answer my whatever I say, so.
Iris just like, looks around and is like, fun. The collective knowledge contained in this room is enough to do a lot of damage, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, either way, since I was communicating with the big M, did you call Taffington?
Mm-hmm.
Did you tell him?
In a way.
I was just like, what do you mean in a way?
It was his secretary who picked up, I guess.
Okay. You didn't tell his secretary, did you?
Not straight up.
Okay, what did you tell her? Like,
That his favorite actresses, twin sisters, are just one big ploy.
Jax, my divination was about telling Taffington. Taffington. Taffington.
Mm-hmm.
Not somebody else.
That's a fuck up on my part. I agree. So either you feel like going into Camarilla territory and fucking his secretary up, or we'd have to sort this shit out whenever it happens.
Have him wipe her mind. You have domination, you should have it too.
Yeah.
Have you called back yet?
Not yet.
Next time when I ask you to do something, perform it exactly.
Sure.
At this point, Jack, your phone rings.
If it's
I'll-
Staffington, tell him to wipe the memories of his secretary. Got it?
Mm-hmm. I'll check who calls.
It is Taffington.
Yeah. I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
On loud.
You hear the click, and the voice rings out from the other end. Hello.
Hello.
Have you dealt with what you needed to deal?
Yes, have your secretary told you what I told her to say?
Secretary?
Somebody picked your phone.
Excuse me?
When I called you a couple of minutes ago, somebody picked up the phone,
You
told me.
fucking idiot.
Who's that?
That's my pack priest.
Right, Mr. Taffington. The information that we were supposed to pass
What
on to you
clan
is
are
that
you?
Therese, Malkavian, that Therese
Jack,
and Jeanette,
put the call on private,
Ter-
please.
Therese
This
and
is
Jeanette are
clan
the
business.
same. Somebody picked up your phone and heard it.
This is clan business.
Clan business will be discussed. Did you hear my pack priest?
Repeat, please.
Therese and Jeanette are one and the same. There are no two people. Jeanette is Therese and Therese is Jeanette.
And you've come about this information how?
How? By learning it through Therese and magic. Doesn't matter. I'm a Malkavian and I know what I'm talking about. There's just one body, two minds, and they're definitely conspiring. Either way,
Well, I'd love some proof that this is true. Jack,
Mm-hmm.
is this true?
It is.
All right.
the bigger problem is who picked up your phone. Because your clan member, after I allowed the release of this information, called, a woman picked up, presented herself as your secretary, and my packmate didn't think to just ask you to call back. Instead, he said that your favorite twin actresses are one and the same. It's not too.
Can we make this call a private one, please, Jack?
Yes, you
Yes.
may. Sort out this problem, Jax. This is your fault.
I know.
And
I
Serena
know.
walks off.
I'll pick the phone and put it like on normal.
Mm-hmm. Done?
Yep.
Good. So describe to me the voice you heard.
I'll describe it to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm. Well, since you're not using your own words, may I ask that you roll me wits and expression, please?
Yeah. What's expression? Oh, that's not a big one. Pelese. Yeah.
Good. Taffington takes a while to answer, but after a moment he says, well, I suppose I should be more careful about who hosts court.
Who that'll be?
Well, tonight court was hosted by our esteemed rivals, Clan Ventra. Namely, it was hosted by a visiting elder of some esteem. Him, his child, and apparently he's very proud of his bloodline, as his child's child showed up as well.
Let me guess. Blonde.
You know damn well who we're
Redhead.
talking about.
Yes. Interesting of them to appear.
As
I'll
Camarillas...
concentrate a bit on a side to message Serena that most probably Kian's child picked up the phone.
There is like the message is red.
It is with shadows. It's always red.
Iris
you just
walks
hear
back
from
into the-
you just hear
Iris-
very muffled from the other room. Fuck!
So yeah, that is so gracious of them to appear.
Yeah, I doubted their sincerity, but you can't really question the prince in these scenarios. And according to general new policies that were put in place when certain bits of information came to light, the Camarilla elders are choking up on the use of tech.
What actual bits of information?
Apparently, there's been some sort of breach. Some weapon manufacturer, some such, managed to get some sensitive documents, so now the prince has forwarded the information up the chain, at which point, well, higher-ups showed up and implemented certain measures. And now the use of tech is strictly forbidden. We are talking through a clandestine means, in that sense.
That's good. I might even know who that weapon manufacturer is too.
Enlighten me?
Is it Crowfield Arms?
Might be. I'm not familiar with the details of the issue.
Well, if I get clearance on that information, I'll send you some juicy information too, if I get it.
Sure, I'll look into it. In the meantime, the Nosferatu are aware, from what I can tell, that you wish to speak to them.
Mm-hmm.
Not much else I can do, unfortunately.
They are how they are.
Any other questions before I dispose of this phone?
You wanted to ask something of me from my side
Did I?
before you ended the call. You told me you'd move some pieces on your end.
Still doing it.
Yeah, and there's gonna be something I can do on my end.
Well, depending if I can manage, might create an opening within the Malkavian clan that will force your rival's hand.
Hmm.
I
Care to
remember
elaborate
you.
a bit?
I remember you wanted to speak with Dorothea.
I did.
Well, I'm assuming, given the information you shared, you weren't after Dorothea herself.
Not really, but she is of use.
Good. Well, originally I meant to pull most of the Malkavian clan together out of paranoia. But turns out I might be able to just coax your actual rival out.
Hmm.
She has plenty of contacts she needs to keep, areas she needs to visit. At best, I can tell you exactly where she's going to be. Worst case scenario, I'll resort to simply drawing her out my own way.
That
And then
sounds lovely.
I'll report the location, and whatever happens, let fate decide what happens.
That sounds delightful.
I'm going to
Let's
end
see
this
where it
call and
brings
break
us.
this phone now.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
You know how to call me.
Unfortunately. And there's a click.
Mm-hmm. I'll go to Serena's room and
You
knock
can
on the
see
door.
that some things have been like thrown, like the door is open, and you can see that
I'll
some
still
things have
knock on the
been.
door frame.
You can see that some things have been thrown on the floor.
Apparently, tonight's court has been hosted by two of our beloved Ventrus and one certain grandchilder.
You fucking idiot.
No questions about that, I know.
You fucking idiot.
You wanted to get Kian's child? We might
Not
have a chance.
now. Not now. But sure. Wait, do you mean the thing that we've planned with Staffington to get her?
He's most likely gonna try and out Jeanette, who either will get direct location, or at least he's gonna smoke the beehive.
Well, we can always get her direct location even if she's Jeanette.
Well, I suppose he's gonna put her in a location that's gonna be beneficial to us.
Fair. Now, we don't know. Either way, I'll be visiting Victoria later tonight with Olivia.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be introducing her as our anarch, as an anarch defector. Now, I need to think of what creation rites she might have done. Depends on Well,
Most definitely not the ones with Jim, because
no.
people can smell. People can smell old blood.
To me, they have control over flesh. No. What I mean,
Yes, but she's also pretty close to someone in
who?
family relation. Olivia and eldest.
Again, I'm pretty sure they know how to deal with it. I'm thinking that. Well, I suppose I'll discuss it with Olivia. What will be if asked what were her creation rights? I'll discuss it with her. Now,
I'm not a big specialist on righties, so I'll leave it to you.
now. You fucked up.
I know.
By the way, out of character question. Did Dora did Dorothea promise us to help get Kian's child or something?
She promised to give assistance at some point.
Okay. Now we don't know if Kian and Rourke already knew about the twins.
Mm-hmm.
But given their racially aids,
Most likely.
but then again, our racially aids did not reveal any supervision on her.
Well, if the downtown is shielded from Wraith,
No, it's only was some locations.
yes, most likely performed by Balmahera
Or Tremere.
or Tremere. But also,
Or the Giovannis that are playing around in their court. Did you forget
but
that?
no, I didn't. But also keep in mind, Delmont could basically undo the magic like I did, so he would have known the way.
Either way, I'm assuming it's Tremere magic given as a Strauss. Now,
No.
I'm gonna draw a card because this now really fucking pisses me off.
Okay.
Consequence of fucking fuck up of this Los Sombra.
You have to specify which fuck up.
Talking to some random bitch. 3 successes.
Did a lot of that. Specify more.
5 successes to interpret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 successes to divine, 5 successes to interpret. And I'm basically going to draw 3 cards again. And I'm going to. So, did Talmahara, like Rourke and whatever, like knew about Therese and Ned being one and the same?
So that's the first question?
Yeah, that's the first question.
Okay. You draw the card, and you are met with a still lake with very vivid reflections of the woodlands that surround it, a tower in the distance, and 2 fish circling each other.
The moon. So that's a no.
And above the moon.
Well, congratulations, Jack. You just provided Talmahara information they didn't know.
Okay. And
You've
I'm
given
sorry for
them
that.
our
What's your second question?
advantage. Second question, immediate consequence and long-term consequence, basically.
Okay. Immediate consequence. You draw a card. You see plain grassland with some mountains in the distance. The wind clearly moving briskly. And ahead, you see a young man holding a staff with a sort of adventurous feel to him. And you draw the Page of Wands.
Exploration. Reversed or upright?
Upright.
Explorations. Long-term consequence. Also, Miguel,
This is
can you do me-
short-term consequence.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Can you first tell me the card name so that I can read the while you describe it, okay?
Sure. And for long-term consequence, you draw the Queen of Wands. You see a plain grassland with a field of flowers and a woman holding two staves, one with flames atop it, the other one clearly a fresh branch.
By the way, the immediate and long-term consequence, it's always meant for me.
I
For
know.
us.
I know.
Okay. Right. Well, I don't see negative effects to it. But in the future, if I tell you to tell it to person X, you tell it to person X. No one else.
Sure. Keep in mind, if it's what we think who it is, they're vengeful. They're gonna backstab each other.
It is
Because it is in
Kian's
the blood.
child. It is Talmahera. It's not about backstabbing. Did you not see how Roark treats Kian? Kian most likely treats his child the same. If we were dealing with Camarilla Ventru, sure. But this is not Camarilla, is it?
Also true.
Do not let you get your stereotypes get the best of you. Your past is also about research. That's beneath you.
No, not really. But I'm yet to find not backstabbing vengeful.
Serena sighs.
Also, since about recently, Camarilla has at least citywide ban on the use of technology to communicate.
I see. Why?
Because some stuff came up from some weapon manufacturer, some documents, and Strauss took it to upstairs and they told him to don't use phones, probably never use computers.
I see. Well,
So I guess Camarilla just sent itself back to Dark Ages.
yes, but Camarilla would not do that for no reason.
Something came
Serena,
up.
I bet you that the Nosferatu are not pleased, but I bet you that they're also not gonna follow that.
Never.
But that also means, well, good thing our phones are protected by NOS Int.
Yes.
Either way, that does mean that even the burner phones that you use. Do you know the state of current modern mortal technology?
More or less, you explained something
Right.
about global surveillance.
Yes, so
Nothing
basically,
safe, I know.
yes. So you log into your computer, you open something, you can assume that most of your communication unless it's highly encrypted, it's not safe. So you talk to somebody on Facebook or whatever, like maybe, like sure, maybe your password is really good, but that communication data packet that is sent, that can be scanned, right?
So we're
It's
back
extremely
to
easy.
paper.
Worse yet,
We're
worse
back
yet.
to paper, but
No,
digitally.
no. Worse yet, um, she looks around the flat. Worse yet, non-cracked phones that are using standard operating systems. They can be remotely hacked by government agencies to listen in, to watch in. Same with computers.
Mm.
Like there have been cases where the U.S. government has sent chips and motherboards to their enemy countries like Iran or Afghanistan, which already had, or that case where Israel's provided like some pagers to Iran, like intercepted them, put in some explosives and sent them. Either way, the point is
Nothing is safe.
that is how they're able. So social nervous system. No, there are safe methods. There are safe methods. Quantum computing is not yet really like such a
Now
widely
you're
used.
just talking not my language.
Right. So the current methods of encryption, if you use very specific tools, even your mobile phone can allow you to perform encrypted and safe communications, which cannot be cracked. But that is what we used already on our previous phones because I've installed it and I've told you how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And
still it got bypassed by some fucking ghost.
what? What ghost? What are you talking about?
The fucking
No,
Belmont?
that was because that was because the ghost read what was on the phone.
Yes, which is still means
Yeah, but
nothing is safe.
we're not talking
Yes.
about ghosts.
Yes.
I'm talking
So
about mortal agencies.
I get it. There is a way to be safe.
We already know that Crowfield Arms had government contracts. Crowfield Arms was making weapons against vampires.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a huge leap. Like
Yeah.
already I said back then, it's not a huge leap to assume that this shit is going to bite us in the ass in a worse way. Well, actually, that might be quite good.
Uncontrolled breach of silence
No,
of blood.
no, that's not. I might be able to use this information. Well, I'm going to be, how to say, visiting Victoria later with Olivia to introduce her. I'll just say that our spies have reported that the Camarilla has implemented. So was that the inner circle implementing the ban?
I guess because Strauss went upstairs with this, so
Upstairs, that would be the Jew stickers.
or inner circle, or
Well, I doubt
or
that
whatever
Strauss.
or he
I
went to
doubt that.
Tremere upper management.
Well, that would be the Jew stickers. He went to the Jew stickers, and with the Jew stickers decree, that would have been. Now the question is whether that order is across all of the domains.
If you know someone back in, I don't know, any fucking Camarilla city,
I'm on the
you
red
just try
list.
call them.
I'm on the red list.
I can try to call them. Keep in mind, we're on the west coast.
Yes.
Half the world is at day
no,
right now.
No. If they're banned, they're not going to be used. Listen, I'll message Vicus about this. I'm sure he has other contacts in cities and so on, and we can confirm it. Point what I'm making is
Serena?
that, yeah,
You look down to notice that your hand is like your fist is clenched.
And I don't know whether that's Cecil or Vicus. Iris looks at the fist. Iris is like, Vicus? Like, Vicus?
The
Cecil?
fist
Eldest?
relaxes.
That again tells me nothing. Make a V with my fingers if it's Vicus.
Your middle finger extends.
That's
Oh.
Vicus.
Yes, that's okay, right. All right.
I'll message them.
No, yes, right. Either way, Vicus, I'm sure is aware. It's since you're listening in, it would be good to check if this ban is global. If it's a global ban, then it is something the Sword will also need to consider, because if the mortal government agencies like the NSA have gotten wind of this shit, of vampires, the Sabbat is most at risk in this case. Our shovelheads are out of control, and they're an issue. There are ways to track all of our activities with statistics and all of that. And I could go into this, but either way, back to what I was making. See, the thing is, Rourke and Kian are spying for the Swords officially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't deliver this information to the Swords,
If they're at court tonight, you might deliver this message for them.
I'm not delivering this message for them.
Before,
Well,
as in earlier.
no, that's not what I mean. I'm just considering. I'll probably discuss it with Olivia on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing. I would assume that the Talmahara would not deliver this information to the Sword.
Because they're against us.
Because, yes, because the Camarilla does not know about them. And either way, half of those people probably serve their masters anyway. So I doubt that Kian or Rourke would inform the Sword that the NSA knows about the vampires.
So that's something you know. So that's something.
But that is something that was announced today. Priestess Vicus, if you're still there, I said it's possible to confirm or deny before,
In a couple of hours.
before Olivia returns. I'm sure you have your ways. Then that would be beneficial, but either way, I'm planning to deliver this news. Either way, you're in a position at the consistory as well to ensure that the Sword does not suffer the brutal consequences if this scenario is true. I cannot imagine all those shovelheads actually using any security. And Trina just like looks at her arms. She's like, "You're like, is there gonna be like, and does it? Well, fuck you too, or like a thumbs up?"
There's no emotion.
Well, either way, the priestess is informed, so we can make sure that the Sword does not suffer extreme consequences, or at least that our allies against the Talmahara will be aware.
Informed. Yes.
Yes, because remember, if the Talmahara manage to get a way to direct the mortal government's attention, our havens can come under attack while we sleep.
Yes.
During the days, they can hunt down our elite. That is the consequence of something like that happening.
I get it.
Serena calls up Marcus.
Mm-hmm. The phone rings, and you hear a voice on the other end.
How
Hello.
did you recover?
You don't recognize the voice.
Is Monsieur Marcus available?
I can get him. Who's this?
Good. He's investor.
1
He'll
second.
understand.
And the phone turns off. And after a few moments, you hear a ring.
Mm-hmm. He picks up.
Boss,
Hello. How's your recovery?
still get nightmares, but I'm managing.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get some information right now.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I can answer a few questions while I have my knuckles on ice. What's up?
I actually wanted to have you discreetly look into a few things. Now, if it's possible, of course. I'm interested in Crowfield Arms and any contracts they might have had. Remember the guns you've sold?
Yeah.
Those aimed against us, right?
Yeah.
So Crowfield Arms is a company that does manufacture them, and they are somebody in a military industry complex, government contracts, and I want to know if there have been any big investments into them by the government, or big, collaborations they had with the government recently.
Not sure I can get you that, boss. I can get you
Rumors.
weapons from them, but our net of supply is, well, doesn't extend to the corporate side of things. You need
I read
someone
on the
who's
phone.
in with,
I read on
Okay.
the phone Strider.
Do you show me that?
Yes.
Well, but all right. Well,
I
either
can give it
way.
a shot.
No. We, my ally here just informed me that we do have another recent acquisition that we can inquire for such information. But speaking of weapons, I'll need a stock soon. Maybe for 20 people, or something.
So, dinner table for 20. Are we
Dinner table for
thinking full meal? Just entrees?
full meal. I'll. How long would it take you to get that? I just don't want that dinner be lying around for any of our enemies to pick it up and use it against us.
Well, tell you what. I'll work on it. A week from now, you can send me a text whenever you feel like you're gonna need it soon. And I'll take the stuff to you. Directly. Myself.
All right. No, what I meant is, let's say I need it in a month, right? I don't want to lie and be around for 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
Don't
So
worry, it won't be the case.
All right.
The way
good.
we're getting our supply, it's not a problem.
Okay, good.
You, from the other end, you hear him sort of pacing, and at some point he opens. You hear like a door open, and in the background, very faintly, you hear someone, like a muffled noise of someone sobbing through cloth.
I see you have guests.
Oh, nothing much. Just trying to get a bit of information.
Well, if you're looking for information about Jesus, I will just tell you that, besides the times that he actually arrives in the material world, is not here.
Well, given that we found his head a few days ago, you know.
You found his head.
Yes.
Do you still have it?
I don't tend to keep body parts, boss. Though I might
Well,
make an exception for this guy. And the sobbing sort of increases a bit.
well, the point is, I hardly. I don't understand how. Jesus, you see, what he's well. At the same time, he was quite young, wasn't he? He wouldn't rot so quickly, would he?
Few months at best.
Yeah. Um. Look. I just want to check that it's his head.
No, I'd recognize that ugly mug anywhere.
No,
boss.
no. Do you like your new legs? Do they work well?
He doesn't answer, but you sort of hear him like cough up a bit.
Right. So, like if you can still, if you haven't, I don't know, pulverized it, dig it up from wherever you found it, and bring it to me. We'll meet somewhere so that I can check that it's him.
I can do my best. You hear his voice, a bit away from the phone. We're gonna need a boat. Santa Monica Port.
I see. So you put it into the water.
Well, sharks eat pretty much anything.
Right. Tell you what. It's gonna take you far too long to search for that head. How far off the shore did you?
I see, basically.
I see.
When?
Never mind. I'll use my other tools to divine.
Okay.
When was it?
My ally asked, when did you put the head in the water?
I'd say from 12, 15 hours ago, something like that.
Well, 15 hours ago. Well, I see that would be quite deep. I would be able to see down there, but I hardly want to find out what else can linger on in our fucking depths of the ocean.
Well,
Either way, I'll divine it. Forget it.
well, if we're
But
not going down there, then I suppose I can send someone down there. And the voice, once again, distances itself from the mic, and you hear him say, "And that right," followed by more sobbing.
it's very like indulgence can decloud one's mind, but you do you. I'll meet with you in the week. Some of my blood will help to expedite your recovery and so all of that. And make sure that everything sticks. Though at the same time, you were worked on by a master. Hardly doubt there would be imperfections there.
If I may, boss.
Yes.
These fucks we've been going after, right?
Hmm.
Can't we just find where they are and just take the guns to them?
Well, we know where they are. I mean, it's not really a location you can travel like that. Either way, what I'm suggesting is keep yourself armed, and if any of the locations are attacked, right?
Attack stopped a couple of weeks ago, but
Oh, so probably it was connected to Jesus.
yeah, well, he managed to take down most of
Oh,
my organization. Luckily, I had a backup to keep things running.
good. Um, Well, since they were attacking you, I suppose. But, well, either way, there is. In any case, there's also another backup which you could run for me. But let's see how it unfolds for now. Mm, if the attacks stop and that's it, they might have literally just no longer found use for Jesus. Mm, so, which is why they stopped. But keep an eye out if anything changes when you deal with troll-filled arms.
Well, we're not dealing with them. If they knew half of
Well,
the shit we're shipping out, they'd probably put a stop to it.
Are you shipping out those anti-lick weapons to anybody else? Or did you stop?
We've been trading to this, well, these mercenaries, but
Yeah,
they have
so
stopped
here's...
buying, so...
Okay, mercenaries?
Yeah.
Tell me more about those mercenaries.
Yeah, some dudes who work off of a fucking biker gang around downtown. Why?
Biker gang downtown, huh? Do you have their information? Like, deets about them?
I can give you the address.
Right. By the way, they were mortal, weren't they?
Fuck if I know, boss.
Well, did you shake hands with any of them?
I don't attend the meetings myself.
Well, send me whatever information, like, for now, sell normal, like, if you're selling weapons, sell normal weapons, but if you get
Yeah, they'd stop
requests,
buying, so...
yeah, but here's the thing. I'd like to know the list of people to whom you sold those anti-lick weapons, because I don't want to be surprised by a gang of hunters showing up during the day.
I'll concoct a list.
Good. Given certain security concerns, recent, make sure that you're sending them through channels that are surveillance safe.
Yeah, okay.
And I suggest I'm sure you do that too, otherwise the government would be on your asses. But I'll send you instructions on future communications with me.
Sure, boss. I do have some business to attend to. Sorry.
Yes.
Do you
Have
need
fun.
anything else?
Not for now.
Good. Say goodbye to the lady, and the sobbing sort of gets a bit louder for a second, and then quiets down. Right. See you next time.
Yes, I'll forward you the time when we meet
Yep.
for your pop-up.
And as you hear the call end, right before it, you hear sort of this metal sound of what you think is pliers by the sound of it.
Iris puts down the phone and the call. Oh, who's this baby in our bed? Is it Malkav in our bed? Jeez.
Fuck's sake.
Malkav takes over this broadcast once again.
The dog,
Indeed.
again, I should clarify. Not the antediluvian. I don't want the antediluvian in our bed.
They're one and the same.
No.
They're one and the same.
No.
Yeah.
Look, the antediluvian crawled inside my head. You know he's also there.
Christ. Anyway, proceed.
It's a
Jack would
wonderful...
obviously eavesdrop on the whole conversation. Politely. And when Marcus ends the call, Jack will like pull a like $10 bill and just write the address. $10 says it's this address.
What?
I went to some bikers who were prepared to meet a vampire a bit ago. One of the lessons from bikers. So $10 says it's this address.
Were those bikers human?
Yes.
Well, that's not good.
They've dealt
Like,
with some shit.
yes, but
Not
no,
only
no,
with us.
no. I remember now. Remember the huntress?
Mm-hmm. She was a
Remember
biker. Yeah.
she was with some bikers. Those could be hunters.
Mm.
We should deal with that.
We will. Meanwhile, I'll message Strider if he has a minute, for fuck's sake.
After you send the text, you see the check marks, 2 check marks on the message. They turn blue, and almost immediately after, your phone rings.
I'll pick it up also on loud. Hello,
Jack.
Gilbert.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Well, if memory serves, you had some government contracts.
I mean, a few, I'd say. And you hear him sort of huffing up on a cigar.
Does the company Crowfield Arms ring a bell?
I probably got access to the parent company somehow. It's all a chain, and you can always get under someone's business without them really realizing it through corporate fuckery. So
Yeah.
I can probably manage.
Did corporate fuckery tell you if U.S. government has recently been increasing the spending on Crowfield Arms?
Well, I wouldn't know about Merc companies specifically, or weapon manufacturers, but I can tell you that if any of the military budget is going into anything like that, we got a reason to worry then.
Yes. So check along the whole chain if Uncle Sam spent a lot of money on them. Because
Sure.
if he did.
Serena also whispers contracts, collaborations with other like Pentagon, whatever.
Yeah, Uncle Sam. Because if he did, we'd have to worry big time.
Yeah, but also collaborations with other companies who are working with Uncle Sam.
And yeah, obviously, if somebody came up or like sort of collab was made, check for that too.
Yeah, we'll do. Just wouldn't it be a bit smarter if instead of trying to stop them, we simply bought them?
Take over? That would make sense.
Yes, but
I mean, from what I hear, they're pretty high-end weapon manufacturer. They don't sell to the government, but they've done some fuckery in the background to be able to sell. So I'd wager they make enough money to be worth it.
Well, Serena just like interjects. Problem is, if they've already done contact, that technology might already be with the government.
Like the government would know. You know how many times I've fucked over the government?
I know, but I'm also sure that you're very well aware of things like escape score, echelon, and so on.
Money shoved the right throats can silence a lot of whistleblowers.
Listen, we have reasons to consider the risk that there might have been a leak.
Hmm.
And that means, well, that means that could be an inquisition. And Sirita just like the second inquisition, fuck's sake. You got
Do you know
contact.
who did it?
We don't know the specifics, but there has been some breach of security, and our enemies have implemented perhaps a total ban on technology.
I'll tell you what.
They,
I'll procure Crowfield Arms parent company. And once
Do
I
it
do,
with proxy of a proxy of a proxy then.
yes, do it.
like I do it any other way.
Whatever you do, don't be suspicious. If you got contacts in the government, also use your talents, Mr. Strider. Point is,
I'll make
our
sure the
enemies.
president is aware that I don't want to be disturbed.
Point is.
Any other words of wisdom?
Well, no. Good luck to your sales. Like wind to your sails.
Funny. Boss,
See you around.
see you, Jackson. And the call turns off.
Oh,
Boss. It's been like 2 fucking weeks and I'm boss.
Oh, do you like it?
And
Meanwhile, Leo crying in the corner.
he's in Spain.
Leo is on vacation in Spain, apparently.
Crying in Spanish.
Right, I'll go and.
Anything I should do in the meanwhile?
I'll let you know if I think about it. By the way, that blood that I gave you,
Mm-hmm.
I gave it. It contains blood from me when I had defense from my cage of secrets. It was a suggestion from Olivia to see if I could grant you the mind shield. I originally was thinking of making an Iglobless Rite to maybe be able to share it, which Olivia said wouldn't work. And there was also the concern that if I invented a blood ritual to share it, that might have negative consequences, since my mind shielding does work on the premise
On
of...
your basis.
No. It works on the premise of the cobweb.
Yes.
A lot, like, casting that on you might give you...
Give me some fun ideas.
No,
I've been
it
trying
might drive you mad.
Fun ideas. I've been trying to sell one of the
Iris
ideas.
just looks at him. You might be such a good person to learn dementation.
Threatens with
Whatever.
education.
Failure to proceed enlightenment. Never gonna happen. But yeah, I tried to like make something of my own in my free time. One of the ideas is to basically like numb myself to supernatural and use Auspex to still be there.
Well, I can give you some books of mine. So when I was developing it, there were different ways to approaching it. But I've started with meditation. I mean, there are probably different ways for you to do it. One of the ways that I could have done it was by using one of the ways that you could have done it was definitely if you if I were to just obfuscate my mind, but you'd need to be able to do that. The other way that I've rejected was strengthening the mind. That was with using fortitude. But I'll give you. But either way, all of those ideas and processes were born from meditation practices and stillness exercises. Trina goes back into her room and then comes back with like two books which you're very sure that have like Buddhist
them.
and Eastern, you know, um, practices. And she had them. There are exercises and methods on how to remain still and clear your mind. That would be the first step. I'm sure you're, given the fact that we've already used telepathy many times. I've used many times to transfer information to you. I'm sure you're familiar with the feeling. So you can start here. You might be able to use your obtenuberation to just make your mind dark.
Well, we might go for a quick term solution first, which actually, have we tried that I basically envelop my brain in shadows when you try?
That is one of the methods you've tried.
Uh,
You've yet to master it, but it does have
Serena
some
looks.
effects that you theorize are possible to enhance.
Serena looks to. That's Jack mentioned that he wanted to envelop his brain in shadows.
Remember how I enveloped your brain and your heart in shadows? Same principle.
Well, I mean, I suppose you could try that. But it would be more of a read the books on meditation and clearing your mind. It will have to be in combination with that if it were to work. Because the physical part of it, I read your thoughts. I don't see your brain. You understand what I mean?
Okay.
Now, I can't tell you what exactly is the way it works.
It is the ancient old formula of fuck around and find out.
But all of my options and the option I decided to go for were born from first this. And Serena just hands you the books.
Yep.
Master that, combine it with what you're trying, and we can test it later.
Okay. Could I try blood moon infusement with Cecil's blood or whatever? Or Olivia's?
I think you did, yes. The result was similar.
No. Not full moon.
Oh.
Blood moon.
Blood Moon. You can try, yes. Blood Moon's yet to be here, so you can prep something like that.
Well, if I remember correctly, the moss is blood, and I've got permission to get some. So yeah, if you don't mind, I'm gonna get some moss and go
Wait,
my shit.
Moss? Did
Yes, Olivia told me
Did
I
you-
can.
Okay, fine.
I wouldn't really dare call them.
Yeah, I believe taking a piece of eldest and using it for your experiment, you'd have to get permission.
Yes, I got permission.
Okay, on your way.
Yeah.
And Serena goes back to her book to read up on pagan practices, so that do an altar.
Oh,
All
my
right.
god, Malkav is sleeping.
Yeah,
Well-
I'll pick up some moss and go back to my room and try. First of all, see if my white decided to pack it, and if it didn't, I'm gonna proceed with electricity and UV.
Okay. And as both of you have your own small projects to tend to, we will take a short break and return in approximately 10 to 15 minutes. See you soon.
See ya.
welcome back. Jasper, for the past 12 hours, you have spent your time nailed in a small coffin, barely big enough for you to wiggle in. You have felt the coffin being loaded onto a plane and transferred from that plane to another plane upon landing. And this process has gone on for long enough that you went into torpor. As you regain your senses, you feel the coffin shake from side to side. You feel the vibrations on the wood. Vibrations similar to wheels on a gravel road. The muffled sounds of prodding coming from outside. At some point, it stops, and after a few moments, you feel the coffin being pushed out. And it lands on the ground. It almost hits your head as it lands. And soon after, you hear trotting once more, only this time it slowly fades to the distance.
Do I hear anything else?
Nothing whatsoever.
Conversation? Well, then I would try to open the coffin, perhaps, if it's possible.
Okay. You push on the lid, and at first it seems rather stiff. After looking around, or at least feeling around, you find a small lever put in place for you to open it from the inside. And as you tug on it, you hear the creaking wood of the box as it pries open. Peering outside, you see parts of the night sky obscured by the occasional tree branches that seem to hang over you.
Well, Jesper would slowly get out of the coffin, probably doing some slight stretches from being so clustered in a small box.
Mm-hmm.
And he will take a note of his surroundings, seeing if there's anything to discern where he is exactly.
So after prying the lid open, you sit up and stretch while taking in your surroundings. The coffin was dropped on a dirt, or rather, at this point, a mud road. At some point, you can tell the road was made of placed stones, but time and the elements have mostly taken the road back. As you push yourself up to get on your feet, you look into the surroundings of this road. You see that most of it is thick forests. And upon looking towards a hill in the direction of where you assume you were going, you see essentially the road twisting into the woods. And as you look slowly up, you see a hill. And at the top of the hill seems to be a small mansion made of stone.
Looks like I'm going to this mansion, perhaps. Was I given like any directions, or did anyone specify where I needed to go? Did Cecil
Nope.
or better yet, Olivia say anything?
Nope. You were just put in this box and sent on your way.
I see. I well, knowing that probably this is most likely the place, perhaps he would go. So he would be careful not to be seen by anyone along the way, just in case it isn't.
Mm-hmm. As you step outside of the coffin, the boots you brought splash onto the muddy road, and you begin making your way towards the mansion. You walk for approximately 5, maybe 10 minutes. And then in the distance, you see a carriage, a horse-drawn carriage, coming your way.
Is there anything that I could be in danger? Anyone around?
Well, presumably just the person riding the carriage.
I guess I would wait then to see who's exactly in the carriage.
Mm-hmm. As the carriage approaches, the man riding atop it stops. He pulls his scarf down, and you see his skin is pale. He has bags under his eyes. He seems almost sickly. He turns to you and speaks, his mouth basically populated only by rotten or decaying teeth. Are you him?
Well, thinking that he probably means Jasper, then he would say yes, I believe.
Get in.
Uh, Jasper would slowly make his way into the carriage, bringing whatever stuff he brought with him
Mm-hmm.
to the carriage.
The carriage door closes behind you. And after turning on the road, it begins heading towards the mansion. As the road begins to increase in the incline, you feel gravity pull you back slightly as you realize you're now approaching the mansion. Do you say anything to the man?
No, not really. If anything, I need to know will probably be most likely either mentioned in the beginning once I get there by the elder that is there.
Mm-hmm. The carriage rides up the road, and at some point, you see from the small windows on the side that you pass a number of stone walls. After which, the carriage begins to slow and eventually stops. You hear the splashing on the mud as the man hops out of the carriage. And then silence.
Okay. Has the carriage stopped in front of the door or
It stopped
somewhere
near
else?
the mansion, yes.
Near the mansion, but not at the mansion. Okay.
At the mansion, basically. It's not like you get out a few steps and you're at the door, but you get out and, you know, a minute of walking in, you're there.
Okay. Okay. Well, Jasper will slowly and carefully make his way into the mansion. He would, of course, knock on the door first before even trying to step inside.
Mm-hmm. As you exit the carriage, you see the man that was riding, that was basically driving the carriage. He stands next to it with sort of a glassy look to his eyes, and he simply stares forward, almost like he's with a hunch, his hands sort of frozen in front of him, with his head slightly tilted to the side and jaw slightly open.
What does the insides look like of the place?
Okay, so you go straight in. You
No, no. I
approach.
want you to look before walking inside.
Well,
Just in case.
you haven't even gone to the door, but assuming you ignore this guy and go straight to the door to knock, you approach the door and you take the knocker on the door. It seems to be a lion head holding essentially a golden ring with a weight at the bottom of it. You take the weight, lift it, and just let gravity do its work. The echo of the knock can be heard inside. And the door simply clicks open. And the squeaking of the wood as the door opens about 45 degrees echoes through the inside. Peeking at the interior, you see fine marble floor that leads straight down this small corridor past an entrance with a seating area and a pair of double doors that are currently open, leading to a large it seems to be a dining area with a fireplace at the end. The fireplace seems to be lit.
Well, I will slowly make my way to the fireplace, perhaps. Not getting too close to the point where it would, make me scared to death to run away.
Mm-hmm.
But close enough that whoever is there, I can probably see it. Maybe I would like to keep my Auspex one on for the time being, just in case.
Okay, what sense?
Uh, Sound.
Okay,
Try to
so
hear
hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So as you step forward, you heighten your sense of hearing. The echoes of your footsteps around the building become loud and extremely perceptible, in contrast with the absolute quiet that surrounds the building. As the sounds heighten around you, you eventually manage to detect the faint sound of wind from outside, almost whistling at the windows. You approach the dining area, and I need you to roll perception and investigation.
Does aspects apply?
Are you activating it for your vision?
Well, if I try to just figure out something while seeing, yes.
Sure. I'll allow it for now.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. As you go past the dining table, you notice something peculiar. All the items are very, very well kept. The table's clean, as if it's been used daily. The fire's lit. There's enough chopped firewood nearby to sustain it for at least the night, and if there's enough here, you would assume there's wood storage somewhere around the mansion. But the most peculiar thing is that no matter where you look, there's always this faint spotted film covering everything. A slight layer of sort of glistening red fungus that seems to grow everywhere.
Ah,
Familiar one, too.
okay. Yeah. Probably know exactly what it is. Well, there's no sign of anyone around, correct?
Not that you can see right now.
Great. I try to look on the other side through the shadow lens to see if there's anything happening.
You peek through the veil, peering into the Shadowlands, and usually you'd expect to see maybe a husk or something hanging around. There would be some aspect of activity within the Shadowlands. And this being a mansion, you'd expect it to be of a certain size, given that there are events that happen here, there are memories and emotions that happen here. Not only is the mansion massive, but it is utterly devoid of any activity within the Shadowlands.
Not eerie at all. Oh. Well, since there's nothing really, and no one has shown up, guess Jasper will probably just wait out since he doesn't know where he can or cannot go.
Mm-hmm.
If there is anywhere he is supposed to go.
At some
There's
point,
just-
you hear echoes of footsteps coming from a hallway right up one of the stairways that accompanies the side of the room. And soon after, you see what looks like another man in a similar state to the previous one. His hair is. This man seems much older. His hair is very white. His skin is very wrinkled and dry. But he seems to be afflicted by whatever the other man was. Um, he still has the eye bags. His skin is very pale. And he seems to not have a very good quality of teeth as he speaks. As he comes down the stairs, he seems to bring a small box. He approaches the table, almost not acknowledging you, and puts the small wooden box on the table. Takes a key on a string wrapped around his wrist, unlocks it, and slowly opens the box. And at this point, he turns to you and says, "The Master welcomes you to the mansion. As a show of goodwill, he's offered sustenance. You are welcome to stay in our guest room. And of course, as tradition demands, a gift is provided to you. The Master will provide education and time from his eternal existence to enlighten you. And a token to show his dedication to the eldest." The man reaches into the box and, with a lot of care, seems to lift both of his hands, holding what looks like a very well decorated silver knife. He then offers it to you.
I take the knife while saying, "I thank the Master for such a gift, and I hope that I do not intrude too much on his studies while he teaches me."
The man doesn't seem
Could
to
you-
be very reactive to what you say, but seems to listen.
I could you perhaps show me where the guest room is?
Right this way, sir. And he begins to turn and stumble his way up the stairs. Do you follow?
I do follow.
Mm-hmm. As you go up the stairs, you notice that the man uses the railing next to the stairs to keep his balance. And one thing you notice is that every time his hand touches the railing, it's almost like the moss almost clings onto his hand, keeping it in place. And then when he lifts his hand, the moss lets it go. Seems to be reacting to his every movement.
I take note of that. Probably the whole mansion is being monitored by this moss.
Mm-hmm. You are led up the stairs onto the second floor, where the man directs you down a long corridor, and eventually through a series of rooms. You pass a study attached to a small library, Then you pass a game room. All of these extremely well decorated. And eventually, you reach a large room with essentially a king-sized, very, very comfortable but old-looking bed. And essentially housing for meeting all the needs of one of the undead persuasion. All the windows have incredibly thick curtains that, as you enter the room, while they are drawn, the servant seems to approach them, and with some amount of effort, as he seems to be quite feeble, he pulls the curtains shut. This is the guest room the master will provide. As tradition demands, you have 3 nights to use this bedroom as you wish. You may come and go as you wish. The master has offered you the courtesy of extending this usual deadline for the duration of your education.
I thank the master. I would like to know when I'll be able to see him so I can be ready and punctual.
The man seems to listen to you, and he seems to almost look into the infinite as his gaze sort of drops, and he stumbles slowly out of the room.
Oh. I look at him. Is he looking at me like waiting for me to follow or anything, or does
No, he
he
just
leave?
leaves.
Very well. I guess I'll do some slight unpacking, perhaps, maybe, and wait for anything new to happen if I'm called by the master and whatnot.
As you unpack, what have you brought to this mansion?
Uh, what I have brought is some clothing. I also brought my notebook where I take notes of experiments and whatnot, and as a gift for the master, the Tsumis, I would have brought in all of the all of the experimentation and results I have been doing with humans and increasing their brain
Okay.
as a gift.
Okay. The unpacking process is slow, and well, it takes a bit. You eventually manage to take everything out and make yourself at home as much as possible. As you feel you are done, you look around and you hear a tapping noise echoing from beyond the room. Seems to be down the series of rooms and back from the corridor.
Well, I would go towards the door and open to see who's coming.
You open the door, and you see another one of the servants stumbling forward. And again, he seems to be in this sickly condition you've seen before. The man seems to spot you at some point, and he begins to make his way towards you and stops about 2-3 meters away from you with a sort of a jolt in his motion. His back sort of like bends in a bit of an unnatural way with a few cracking sounds, and eventually the man straightens with a bit of a change in his expression. He opens his eyes, and you see vivid red moss covering most of the whites of his eyes, and almost like veins consuming the inside of the man's body. Slight bits of blood drop from his nose and lips, and you notice his skin, previously very pale, now has flared up with this almost bright red glow in his veins. The man looks to you and says, "Jasper, I presume?"
Yes, and Jasper would take a polite bow towards the owner of this mansion, hopefully.
"Welcome to my domain. You are here to be educated in the ways of metamorphosis. The true ways of metamorphosis, undiluted by time or personal opinion." The man looks to you, and after examining you, with a few looks up and down, he extends his hand, once again with odd crackling noises from his joints every time he moves. He extends his hand sort of in a beckoning motion.
And I would beckon back. I greet you, Lord of this mansion, and I thank you for sparing your precious time to be able to teach me the ways. I
I
have
won't
also
teach you the ways. I'll instruct you on how you should think, how you should act. I'll show you truth, not knowledge.
Jasper looks a little bit confused. Seems somewhat paradoxical what he just said, but he just nods in understanding. I have also brought a gift, and he would bring out his notes that he has separated and rewritten in a neat way so it doesn't seem like he was doing it in the middle of experimentation, and he would give to this elder vampire.
The old man, this feeble servant possessed by what you assume is a Zamichi elder, takes the journal and says, "I'm glad to see our traditions have yet to fade from memory. Those of our clan that have forgotten lose a lot." He then opens the journal and, flipping through it, says, "What is this?"
These are some results of experimentation. Most of our clan doesn't bother to mess around with the brain much, but I have been doing so and ended up reaching some interesting results.
And so you give me knowledge freely.
As a gift. Yes, it seemed like one to be bestowed to you.
The man slowly closes the book and places it on a table nearby. Then looks to you, and almost with a flash that you didn't expect to be possible, this feeble servant appears right in front of you and gives you a firm slap across the face, um, with enough force to rupture the skin on your cheek. And then continues. I'll keep the punishment brief and simple, as you are simply respecting the traditions. Knowledge, however, shouldn't be freely shared or accepted. You'll take this back, and you'll continue your research. If you ever think of sharing knowledge with me or anyone else this freely, I don't think you have a lot of hope as a metamorphosist.
Jasper would reflexively heal, trying to take in what he just said while also trying not to be spiteful or angry about it. And he will say, I understand. Forgive my ignorance.
Your manners do you credit, but we will need to reshape your priorities. The night seems to be coming to an end. Your instruction will begin tomorrow. Until then, be sure to feast on the refreshments provided. They will allow us to prepare you adequately for the coming nights.
And Jasper would just nod and bow once again.
And as you bow, the man gives a slight nod. And as soon as the nod is over, he contorts and falls to the ground, wheezing in agony as the red glow seems to fade from his veins. And he returns to this pale skin color of his. His eyes return to normal, and with a gasp, he seems to essentially black out for a moment. And as you sort of peek at him, he eventually opens his eyes, waking up in a bit of a daze, stumbles onto his feet, and begins to limp back towards the hallway.
Interesting. Jasper would go inside of his room, close the door, and take a drink before he
This time,
goes to sleep.
as you re-enter the room, on the table right in front of the bed, it wasn't there before. Now there's essentially a bottle of wine in this silver, extremely well decorated bottle holder. And the bottle seems to have a slight drip to it, which you can smell from a mile away. It's not just blood, it's vitae.
Oh, very interesting. I guess there is no other way from feeding, right? Most likely,
Oh,
other than whatever vitae that is.
you can find sustenance within the mansion if you wish. Yes. This is what was provided for tonight. It is up to you if you take it.
Well, it's just one night, so might as well just drink it once.
Mm-hmm. So you uncork the bottle, um, and you take one of the glasses that's next to the stand and serve yourself a glass. And as the vitae drips from the bottle and onto this glass, it's almost like the vitae seems to cling to the walls of the glass as if it's trying to climb out for a moment before settling, um, behaving much like regular blood afterwards.
Uh, Jasper kind of shudders a little bit, remembering him drinking Cecil's blood for the first time. Or it also had apparently something in it until it looked like blood again. Uh, I do have a question. Would I be able to try to see if there's anything strangely behaving with this blood?
Well, apart from the obvious, you can certainly try to look for specific things. Are you looking for odd physical behavior or odd supernatural behavior? Like magic and
Odd
stuff.
supernatural. Odd supernatural behavior.
Okay. In that case, you would either need to taste it or touch it. I'll allow you to choose which one.
I would touch it.
Okay. Roll a quick perception alertness, please.
Does aspects count into it?
Hmm. Yes.
So, the difficulty would be?
Uh, yeah, that's enough successes. I'm not gonna tell you the difficulty of you little shit. You very carefully sort of dab the top of the liquid with your fingers, and the weirdest thing on is that on your first pass, it doesn't cling to your finger at all. It's almost like you just rubbed your finger on a dry material. Confused and a bit curious, you give it another small dab, and this time a bit of it clings onto your finger, behaving much like a normal liquid. As you observe it, the droplet seems to, instead of dripping from your finger, seems to begin to climb up your finger.
Ah. So it seems to be moving towards my finger. I guess I would probably wipe it to see what would happen if I wiped my finger.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Um, you take one of the folded bits of cloth you can find in one of the drawers, probably. You take it, and with a very soft and swift motion, you begin to wipe your finger, and it cleans pretty normally, like normal blood.
well, I'm still gonna risk it because I don't want to offend the
That a
master of the men. So I will drink it, unfortunately, instead of feeding of his servants.
Mm-hmm. You take the glass. Do you just gulp it down, or do you try to savor it?
I try to savor it.
Okay. So much like someone drinking wine, you let it breathe for a moment. You smell it. The smell of Vitae is incredibly powerful, and incredibly enticing. You bring the glass up to your lips. You allow the liquid to pour into your mouth. You take a sip of it. And as you do, you take a total of 1 sip. How many blood points are you missing?
I am missing 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think that'll get the message across. So you drink 1 sip, yes? With 1 sip of the glass, you can fill your entire track.
Whoa, that is something. Can Jasper sense with his vicissitude if this is like almost compacted blood, or
Hmm.
is it just regular vampire
Roll,
blood?
roll int and medicine for this. We'll use medicine because that's what you usually roll with vicissitude.
Mm-hmm.
We'll account for medicine as the vicissitude knowledge, essentially. Okay. Knowing what you know about vicissitude and knowing enough about the human body to know this, well, the blood, for one, behaves very weirdly. It's clearly not normal blood. You've noticed slight signs of almost sentience to it. That said, if it's this filling to you, and if it tastes this good, and if it's this sustaining, you'd wager this is either some very, very compressed blood fungus type of creature, or really, really, really powerful blood from a very, very old Logen elder.
I see. I probably know which one of the two is the answer. Very well. I guess with that, Jasper would lie down for the night before he falls to the ground asleep.
Okay. You lay on the bed, making yourself as comfortable as you can, and as you close your eyes and allow the torpor to set in, for a moment, you expect the usual pattern of things. You fall into torpor, and without really noticing the passage of time, you immediately wake up. This time, the next night, and you continue about your night without really sensing the passage of time. That said, as you allow torpor to take you, you drift off, and for the first time since your embrace, you swear that you fall asleep instead of going into torpor. Your body sort of goes limp, your mind drifts, and you dream. You dream of nightlife in different cities. You dream of different languages. You dream of people, places that you've never seen, technology far too advanced for you to recognize it. For a brisk moment in your dream, you see this almost church-like construction of flesh in a damp, abandoned house. You see a flash of Jack's face. You see a number of other places in the city, and then you open your eyes. You look at your watch. Seems to be the next night. And you felt every hour of it.
Okay. I get up immediately and await further instructions.
Mm-hmm. As you stand up, you notice that the bottle at the end of the bed on the table is now empty. You take a few steps out of the bed, and making your way out of the bedroom, you see another one of the servants, once again with this glowing fluid coursing through its veins. Hopefully you had a well-rested day. We have a lot of work to do.
I had something very different from what usually happens.
Indeed. Come, our first lesson shall begin. Tell me,
He would.
Master Jasper, and he says this as he walks through the mansion. Tell me of things you hold dear in life.
Things I hold dear. I would say my knowledge, my experiments, the results of my work. Even the failures have some sort of increment to gaining knowledge.
Indeed.
Other than that, not much else as of now. Everything I had once has been gone for quite a while.
Such a boon usually is reserved for the elders of our kind. You have been granted the gift of experiencing it while so young.
Jasper looks a little bit confused by what he means with boon, but he tries to follow along what he means by thinking he means that I only care about knowledge now and nothing else.
The servant seems to close his eyes for a moment, and as he twitches his head to the side, you find sort of this involuntary impulse on your neck, and you do the same motion. And the servant opens his eyes and continues to walk. To clarify, I meant your detachment from your previous world. Waking up to see something new, exciting, the advancements of humanity, ripe for experimentation.
Jesper nods, now understanding, but he is now once again confused by how just made him slightly move his neck just like the servant.
Here we are. Our first lesson. The man leads you down the corridor and enters a side door you had previously not entered. The room you end up in is this almost a study like the previous one you saw, only this one is a bit more of an open plan. And it seems to have these railings to the side separating this center area from a sort of viewing area where you'd imagine a lot of people could witness something in the center. Behind the viewing area are these large stacks of, or large cases of books. And at the center of this viewing area, right, where all the attention is drawn in the room, the open area at the center, you have a slab of stone and a smaller table to the side of it. Very clearly, an operation room. The peasant, the servant, seems to walk up to the table and looks to you and says, "One of us is going to get on that table. We are then going through a procedure. And you will change yourself into something new. Or you will change the servant into something new. I will give you the choice. I will examine what you do with that choice."
Jesper ponders for a moment what he could possibly do. He hasn't done much in the works of changing. He stops himself and looks towards the servant and asks, "Are any of them, a shovelhead perhaps?"
None. It would not be a difficult change. I believe by shovelhead you mean the Sabbat embraces.
Yes, there's been something I have been wanting to test. Only tested it on humans, but I'll let
One
you see what
moment.
would happen.
The servant closes his eyes and seems to focus. And as the glow in his veins begins to flare up, the cracking of his neck as he jolts in place, contorting once more, and clasping at his chest as he falls to his knees, indicates that he is clearly suffering. He's going through extreme bouts of pain. And after a moment, he goes limp and begins to stand up. The glowing on his veins still present, the red moss covering the whites of his eyes still very visible. The servant raises his head, his mouth slightly agape, now boasting 2 fangs. Will this suffice?
This would suffice, indeed.
Be sure to dispose of him by the end.
But by what means do you wish me to dispose him?
I will leave that up to you. You're free to experiment on him for the duration of the 3 days. You are only not allowed to diablerize this one.
Understood.
Shall I? And the man looks to the table.
Of course, please.
Mm-hmm. He climbs on the table, and after laying on it, he grips the sides of the table, and the moss, the slight film of moss growing on it, seems to cover the man's hands and almost fuse with it. And then the glowing of his veins begins to fade. His eyes return to
Before,
normal, and the
before
man.
he turns
Oh, yeah.
before he turns completely normal, Jasper would like to ask, uh, about materials. How would I go, or am I only allowed to use the materials on the table as of now?
Procure what you must.
Jasper would not.
And the man rests his head back, and again, the light fades. His eyes return to normal. And as the servant attempts to sort of contort and regain his independence, the limbs seem to be firmly stuck to the table, and he jerks very little before awakening, sort of in a panic, his eyes darting around the place, and the man questioning his surroundings in a language you don't recognize.
Okay, first things first. Make sure to silence him. Jasper would make sure to silence him.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need. He's grateful that he's not moving, but he doesn't need a noisy subject.
Mm-hmm. And now, without any rules needed, tell me what happens to this subject.
First things first, Jasper would procure some materials from outside of the castle, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
He would bring them back and use the materials from other subjects to add more muscle density and make the bones more firm. He would also do some experimentation with uh, increasing the subject's brain size and cerebellum. He would also like to add almost like a tail of sorts, and he would add a brain like how an arm of an octopus would be.
Hmm.
Each arm of an octopus has a smaller brain, which allows it to process information before sending it to the main brain.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he would also remove the insides of the men that are unnecessary, and he would add some extra limbs while making it so, for example, he would add 2 extra arms on him and make it and adjust it in a way where he can hide the arms by just hugging himself with
Mm.
thanks to the fact that there are no organs, it would make it so it looks like his regular torso
Mm-hmm.
inside. And I think what else? What else? He would also perhaps change the legs a little bit, making it slightly feline to help better for running and perhaps climbing as well.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Hmm. Let me ponder for a second. I'll be doing all of this without testing, letting him get up and whatnot, correct?
Yeah,
Fortunately.
basically.
Hmm. I guess I would enclose more of his rib cage so the heart is more protected, perhaps, to see how it would look.
Okay.
See if it would look slightly natural, so even with clothing, no one would see anything different.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I guess with 3 days and this much work with changing him, I think that would be about as much time I could have with him.
Okay. How much time do you think you'd dedicate to this? Just one night, or would you go for the second night invested on this?
I would go the first and second night.
Okay. As you finish your product, the monstrosity on the table now sort of resigned to its fate, no longer really reacts to the pain anymore. It seems to sort of accept whatever is happening with a numb, broken mind. And as you look at it, at the creature, and feel that it is done for the time being, the veins of the creature begin to glow, and the eyes once more get mossed up. And with a crack of its spine, it jolts up and opens its eyes calmly. An interesting set of modifications you've performed.
I thank for the credits for my changes that I did to him. But it was only with your help in keeping him steady that I was able to do such
Respect is
fine
all
job
well
with
and
it.
good, Mr. Jasper, but this is not the time. My feelings, your feelings, none of it really matters. The result. This matters. And you performed quite well. However, we've yet to address one small issue. And the man looks to you, stands up, and looks you up and down. Apologies. The man looks you up and down, and with a stern but mostly neutral expression, he says, Master Jasper, why do you still look the same?
Well, I wanted to see my results before any changes were done to me. To make sure that no damage to myself would happen in case I did something it couldn't be reversed.
Damage that could not be reversed, I understand avoiding, but one with the powers of vicissitude in my estate would not need to fear such things. And certainly out there, you master discipline well enough, you won't need to fear such consequences, nor should you. You deprive yourself of useful knowledge. See, the truth, Master Jasper, is that you or I none of this matters. The shape you have taken, it is pointless, flawed, and it will always be, until you ascend to something better. And that something better, well, it may change constantly. Those of our blood sometimes are blessed with what many sects would simply call a curse. A fluidity to our flesh. We wake up every night with a new face, a new personality, a new voice, sometimes a new gender. The modifications can be extreme or subtle, but faces are a passing thing. Those of such a blessing are enlightened in ways you or I cannot be. You should chase that enlightenment. I bring you truth, not knowledge. You will give yourself knowledge. Do you understand?
I do.
Good.
Jasper nods, completely understanding. He seems to ponder a little bit if him testing for security reasons has also slowed down his progress. And he understands now that perhaps with his ability, he should just test and see the results himself instead of giving others the knowledge that he is trying to find himself.
Once again, the monstrosity closes its eyes, and with a slight twist of the neck, you mirror that motion. Good. You've reached a new level of knowledge, a new level of being. But your progress has just started. Let's see how deeply your mind can be molded into a perfect being. And he reaches forward, and with a simple patting on your neck, you feel your head slowly separate from your body and fall to the ground. As you begin to fear final death, your eyes begin to see only red as the body and head you have left behind slowly change into a vivid red moss and join with the elder. And that is where we will call this episode. We will join our pack next week upon Jasper's return and enlightenment.
Are we not doing Olivia?
Not this episode. It's a bit late. Yeah. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week.